I just found out that my dad, who has neglected me, isn't my biological dad. I am 17 years old, male. My mom is 38 and dad is 40. My parents were young when they got married. My mother is a stay-at-home mom and works part-time, while my dad is a software developer. I am the oldest of 4 siblings. I have been treated like the black sheep in the family since I can remember. Birthdays never had any celebration, just a cupcake from my mom and no presents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Christmas was never something I looked forward to. At most, I would get some socks, while I had to look at the presents my dad, aunts, uncles, and grandparents gave my siblings: new bikes, latest fashion clothes, phones, game consoles, games, you name it, they got it. The same was for their birthdays, big parties. Their friends and family would show up and shower them with gifts. I was never allowed on family trips and vacations. I was left behind to stay with grandparents who were strict on everything I did, and sometimes they would just call someone else to pick me up, while I was supposed to stay with them. My mom got a part-time job when I was 13, and with that, she would sometimes ask if we could just spend the day together while dad and my siblings were out, even though it was just to get ice cream. When I was at home, I mostly stayed in my room and studied. It didn't matter how well I did in school or sports. My dad showed no interest. I was able to get some money by tutoring, and along with that, I managed to get a part-time job at a food court and a grocery store, which meant I spent less time at home. Over the years, my mental health got worse and worse because of maintaining good grades, doing well at sports, and working 2 part-time jobs. My mom helped me find a therapist who has helped a lot. Yesterday, I came home from work late, tired, and just wanted to go to bed. I opened the door to hear my mom arguing with my dad and aunt about me in the living room. I could hear my aunt saying that I should be more grateful towards my dad. Then they saw me in the doorway and stopped. My mom and dad looked like they had seen a ghost, while my aunt announced, "And in comes the bastard." I was shocked to hear her say that. I know she did not like me and mostly ignored me when we were in the same room, but I got angry and just asked her to repeat what she had said. My dad quickly stopped her, but now I wanted to know why I should be grateful. So I asked what was going on. No one said anything for a while, so I asked again and was grateful about being ignored, neglected, abandoned, while my siblings are spoiled and play happy family with dad. As soon as I said dad, my aunt just shouted that I was not his son. I was shocked by what she said, and I asked my dad if it was true. He looked at me and just said, "I am sorry, I don't know what to say." I looked at my mom, and she said nothing. I left to my room and just started crying. Later, my mom found me on the floor, shaking and crying. She helped me up and stayed with me until I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and called in sick. I barely left my room today. I just feel like everything I have done to make the man I call dad proud or just to acknowledge me has been a waste of life. I wish that I had known years ago. Update: after I put up this post, I had to get out of the house. I went to be alone for a while, and the thoughts of ending things became too hard to ignore. So I called up my best friend, and he picked me up. We went for a drive, and I told him what had happened yesterday. He just listened while I cried and told him everything. He knew my father was like this, but not the extended family. I have never seen him so angry before. He had to pull over so he could calm down. I showed him the post, and he was silent for a while. After a few minutes, he told me that no matter what, I was his best friend, and he asked if he could maybe talk to his parents about me staying at his place for some time. I said yes. He dropped me off at home, and we got out of the car. We talked for a bit before he left. He gave me a hug and just said whenever I felt alone, that I should give him a call. When I entered the house, I ignored everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone for your comments. Though I have not responded, I read through all of them. Not only have they been helpful towards seeing things differently, but to do the best to stay strong until I will move out. You are right, this man is not my dad, father, and I will no longer see him like that anymore. I will try and get some answers on why I am being abused, why after all these years no one told me anything, and the most important for me right now is who my real biological father is. Is he alive? Does he know I exist? And to clarify one thing, I have no idea who anyone on my mother's side of the family is, and therefore there is no contact with them. My 18th birthday is at the end of the summer. and I will be moving out that day or even sooner if I have the opportunity to do so. Relevant comments. So sorry to hear that. Can't imagine what you've been or are going through. You do seem like a good kid. Your whole life is ahead of you. I'm sure good things await you. Didn't your mother and her husband tell you anything after you got home? Didn't they try to stop you from going to your friend, or at least talk with you about this? When I left, I didn't say anything. I just texted my mom that I was out and would be back later. When I got home, my mom tried to say something, but I ignored it and went into my room. She came to check in on me later and asked if I'd like to come down for dinner, but I declined and said I wasn't hungry. She stayed for a while and then tried to get me to open up. I just asked why she never told me that he wasn't my father. She didn't answer the question and just said how sorry she was that I had to find out this way. Update: so a lot has happened in these few days, and I am conflicted about many things right now, but I am hopeful that I can start to heal mentally. Also, sorry for the long post. On Thursday before I left for work at the grocery store, my father, whom I will refer to as K, called out to me, and I responded by saying yes, his first name. He looked confused because I have always called him Dad before. After a bit of silence, I asked quite bluntly what. He didn't respond and told me it was nothing. So I went to catch the bus. When I got home late in the evening, my mom wanted to know why I called K by his first name. I told her he never treated me as anything closely as a son, so why should I call him Dad anymore? She had no answer, and she told me he was hurt by it. I wanted to scream when she said that. Yesterday, I had an appointment with my therapist, and I cannot put it into words how much she has helped me over the years. Later, my best friend called me to let me know that I could stay with them if I wanted. So this morning when I woke up, my mom was already awake and making breakfast. I asked her if we could talk alone today, and it was important. She agreed to talk after breakfast because Kay had to go to work shortly after. After Kay left, she told my siblings to not enter the kitchen for a while. I am paraphrasing a bit because it was a long conversation. We sat down, and I found it hard to get the words out at first, but I told my mom that I can't get over the fact that for all these years, I have been treated and neglected by Kay and his side of the family, and she watched it happen, and I need to know why. At first, she tried to dodge the question and gave the same answer as always, but I didn't give in and told her that this was important to me. And again, she tried to dodge it. So I told her that I can't do this anymore, so I was going to pack up some of my stuff and move out. And not until she was ready to tell me the things I needed to hear. We would not be on speaking terms. She started to tear up and just told me how sorry she was and kept on saying, "I am so sorry," over and over. It hurt me in that moment to see my mom cry, and I tried my hardest to keep my emotions in. And I asked her again why. After some time when she calmed down, she told me what happened when she was 20 and in university. She had a boyfriend whom she had been with for 3 years. They shared an apartment along with his best friend. They were out clubbing when they had an argument because she wanted to stay, but her boyfriend wanted to go home, and he left her. She and the best friend were really drunk, and she cheated on her boyfriend with his best friend in the club. The next day, she woke up and realized what she had done. So after a few days, she and his best friend confessed about the affair, and her boyfriend broke up with her. Her ex contacted her parents and told them what she had done. Her parents called her furious and told her she was not welcome back home and took away her financial support, so she had to move out. She lost a lot of friends and had nowhere to stay. She had to live in her car for some time. When she realized she was pregnant, she didn't know what to do. She went back to the apartment to find out her ex and his friend no longer lived there. She tried calling and texting them, but they didn't pick up the phone or answer any of her messages. She got a job at a cafe house, and there she met Kay. He was a regular customer, and they got to know each other. Kay asked her out, and even though she told him she was pregnant, he didn't care. At the time, Kay's parents were not happy about the idea that their son was dating a pregnant woman and a cheater and threatened to cut him out of their lives. Kay got scared and was going to break up with my mom, but she begged him not to and promised to be the perfect wife and have his kids. They made plans to get married soon after I was born. Kay never showed any interest in me when I was born, but my mom lived with the hope that one day he would. After hearing all of that, I don't know what to say. For a while after thinking for a moment, I asked if she had at any point tried to contact my possible biological father. She said no, and the timeline would place her affair partner to most likely be my biological father. But she can't be 100% sure. I asked her if she ever tried to reconnect with her side of the family. She tried to contact them when she was about to get married, but her parents, siblings, aunts, and uncles didn't want to see her, so she gave up. I asked her why Kay was hurt by me calling him his first name. I started to cry in front of him and asked, "Why do you hate me?" He didn't reply, and I went into my room and cried all night. After that, he felt sad, like something had stabbed him in the chest, and it didn't go away, it only grew. My mom told him to go see a therapist until he relented, and after some time, the therapist got through to him. For the past few years, he has been living with this guilt, and he has been afraid to confront it. So when I called him by his first name, he realized that he had lost me. The next question I was afraid to ask, but I asked if he ever abused her. She told me he has never abused her. She told me that Kay has only ever loved her. The only time he ever questioned her about anything was when she was pregnant with my younger brother, and he asked for a paternity test, which she understood. When it came back positive, he apologized, and he didn't ask about my other siblings. The last question I asked her why I was left with people who abused me physically, mentally, and emotionally while they went on trips and vacations. She was shocked to hear about the physical abuse and asked me about it. I told my mom that I never said anything at the time because I was afraid of Kay's family members. When it happened, I told her everything I remember, but here are some of the things they did. My grandparents would scold me loudly and hit me when I was younger. My aunt never spoke to me unless she needed a favor, only to then go back to ignoring me and tell me to stay in the guest room. When I was 14, my father took the family on a 2-day trip to Croatia. He left me with his older brother. He asked me to go to the store to buy some stuff, and of course, I said yes. When I came, he opened the door, took the bags, and locked me out of the house. I sat there crying until they had all finished with their dinner, and then he let me in. She cried the whole time while I told her everything. She told me how sorry she was. She knew they didn't like me, but this was just hate. After the conversation, she asked if I was going to move out and where. I told her I was planning on it, and I will not tell her because I don't want Kay to know where I would be staying. She started to cry again, and again it hurt to see her cry. The conversation was long and lasted for several hours, but these are just the main points. After that, I went to my room to clear my head, and think about an hour later, someone knocked at my door, and I told them to open it. It was Kay who opened the door. He asked if he could enter, and I said yes. It was the first time since I can remember he ever entered my bedroom. He looked around for a bit. He looked at the shelf where I keep all of the awards and trophies from school and sports. He was both surprised and sad when he saw the medals from when I did track and field and played football. He stopped when he saw the small man of the match award and picked it up. He held it for a while and started to tear up. He put it back and sat down on the bed. Neither of us said anything for a while. I asked if Mom had told him what we had talked about. He was still tearing up and slightly nodded his head. I asked him if he was aware of how I see him. He nodded again and whispered, "Yes. So you know the extent of what our parents and siblings have put me through." He looked me in the eyes and asked if it was true. I said yes, and he just started full-on crying. After a while, he stood up and hugged me. This was both the first time he has ever hugged me and cried in front of me. Before, I just hugged him back and started to cry. He didn't want to let go, and he said how he was sorry for the pain he put me through, for the years of neglect, for treating me like an outsider, and he begged me not to move out. When he finally let go, he asked to be given a chance. I told him that maybe with time, I could forgive him and Mom, but they had to earn it. But I won't forgive his family for the things they had done. Also, for now, he was still Kay. He was hurt by it, but accepted it. For now, I am not moving out, but if things go back to the way it was, I will not hesitate to leave, and he knows it. We are going to see a family therapist together. I will, in the future, try and reach out to my biological father, but I don't know about my maternal family. I am on the fence with them. I want to thank you for reading. Slight update. I called my friend and told him what happened. The door will always be open at his place. We have known each other since we started school, and we both play for the same team. I know his parents well, and they are lovely people. I know many of you want me to move out as soon as possible, but I told them I would like to give them this one chance, and that is what I will do for the moment. Honestly, I am not scared that things will just go back to how things have been. I have been saving all of my money since I started working. To those who have been sending virtual hugs, here's a virtual hug back, and thank you. Thank you for all the comments and support. Relevant comments. What are they going to do about your stepfather's family's abuse? Are they going to call them out on it? And how do your other siblings treat you? Obviously, with the exception of your sister who seems to love you. Opus K and Mom have spoken to my siblings that from now on, his side of the family will not be allowed to visit anymore for the foreseeable future. They were surprised at first, but K told them what happened. My brothers don't know what to say, but my sister got really angry at K and Mom. I had a talk with my siblings about how hurt I was with my brother's strained relationship because we were a lot closer. It's like they started seeing me as a roommate rather than a brother. Some time ago, my sister has always wanted to spend time together and will get really upset if she misses my games. I let them know that I don't care if they saw his family outside the house, but my brothers let me know that they would rather try and fix our relationship. Update number 2. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you who have messaged me in the last post and privately. I would like you to know that I am safe and I am at my friend's house. They are willing to let me stay with them long term. These messages have not only opened my eyes, but also to see my mom and Kay for the people that they truly are. Both of them do not love me and do not care. I have had people telling me their stories. I talked with her a bit, and when I told her that I was going, she looked so sad. It was harder than I thought to say goodbye to her. When I got to his car, I just broke down. We drove around for a bit before we got to his place. His dad helped me get settled in the guest room. My friend told his parents about the posts. They asked me to tell them everything, and I did. Their parents talked in private for a bit and then let me know that they would rather stay with them long term than to go back again. Thank you for everything. Life update. Just want to make an update on how I am doing ever since I left and to clarify things a little. First, yes, I am dyslexic, and I don't care. This is not a book report, and I am not getting grades on what I post on Reddit. The grammar police will never find me. Second, this is not my main account. My main account is followed by some of my friends and teammates, and I don't want them to know what I am going through. My best friend respects my wishes by not telling others. Now to what has been going on since I left. My best friend and his family have been nothing but wonderful. They have taken me in as their own and showed me nothing but love, kindness, and understanding. I appreciate everything they have done to make me feel safe and loved. I have met with my mom and siblings on a few occasions, but never at my old home or at my friend's house. I have made myself clear that I will never step foot inside there again, and it took my mom some time to realize that. She stopped asking me to come back after I ignored her for a few weeks. I have switched therapists because I felt like I needed a fresh slate dealing with all of this. And yes, indeed, therapists are mandatory reporters in my country. I learned that after my first appointment, he contacted the police and reported my old one. Kay and some of his extended family have tried to reach out via texts, and some have offered their apologies, and others just insults. It's not too hard to think why those have been blocked. And to those who apologized to Kay's parents, brother, and his family, I replied with a simple, I accept your apology, but I do not forgive you. That may never happen, and it will be on my terms for the foreseeable future. Do not contact me again. What happens next? I do not know. I am just going to focus on school, my mental health, and getting a driver's license. Thank you for everything. I truly appreciate every one of you for everything, and big hugs to you all. Relevant comments. Comment, bro, let's be honest. You need to keep distance from your mom. I mean, she knows what they did to you and never tried to stop it. She's a selfish woman who chooses her life over her son. Opus, the only reason I am in contact with my mom is that I can't meet my siblings without her. And when I turn 18, I become financially independent, and I can block her from interfering with my accounts. She has never done that in the past, but I don't want to take any chances. Comment, I'm surprised K's brother and his parents apologized. Opus, I made a police report the day after I moved, and my new therapist also reported them. So I think it's just to try and save face. Top comment. It's K's fault for marrying a pregnant lady with a child that wasn't his and knowing he wouldn't see him as his own. And your mom's fault for allowing him to be indifferent and not protecting you from his abuse.